Welcome back. Another day of E3. We saw two more conferences last night. We saw both Microsoft and Bethesda. Microsoft's was really good. Bethesda's, not so much. But I'll get to that in another video. Today we're going to be talking about Microsoft conference and why I think it may have been their best conference in years. Microsoft had a really strong conference and there was just no bells and whistles. We all remember the E3 a few years back where they announced the Xbox One and the Kinect and the Always Online and just so much rubbish. And you know that really set the bar for bad E3s. And ever since then, I feel there's always been a kind of nervousness whenever E3 rolls around towards Microsoft. It's like, oh, please don't screw it up again. To be fair, the past few E3s they've had have been really good. Last year they announced the backwards compatibility, which I thought was great. And this year, I think may have been their best E3 conference ever, possibly. They just, as I say, there was no bells and whistles. They just focused on games and, of course, the newly announced Xbox One X, previously known as Project Scorpio. Now, it seems like the Xbox One X is, well, it's going to be the most powerful console on the market when it's released. It's going to cost $499 or thereabouts, depending on what territory you're in. And it's set to be released this year on November 7th. A lot of people thought we wouldn't see it till 2018, but it looks like Microsoft really wants to cash in on the Christmas market, which is wise to do so. And yeah, we're going to be seeing it sooner rather than later. It's going to be the smallest Xbox console ever released, which is, you know, in the past they've tended to be quite bulky. But this one, despite its power, is going to be pretty sleek by the look of it. Yeah, it's going to support 4K resolution. Even if your television isn't a 4K TV, the Xbox One X will use super sampling to kind of make the most out of the television that you've got. So even if, you know, as I say, even if you haven't got a 4K TV, you'll still see improvements compared to if you were just playing on an Xbox One or Xbox One S. Yeah, so as I say, this isn't a kind of, you know, high-end. Well, it is high-end, but it's not designed to just appeal to people who want the very latest in technology, which is kind of what the PlayStation Pro is. Every game, every backwards compatible game, every accessory released so far for the Xbox One will work with the Xbox One X. So you don't need to worry about having to rebuy games you've already bought, restart your library or anything like that. You'll just be able to transfer pretty easily by the sound of it. It comes with a 1 terabyte hard drive, which is great. I mean, 1 terabyte these days is the minimum a console needs, I think. It's really going to be interesting because the Xbox One, you know, it's just a fact, isn't as powerful as the PlayStation 4, and Microsoft has always kind of played second fiddle to Sony when it comes to the power of their console. And games released on both consoles, you know, the PlayStation 4 tends to be able to hit better frame rates and better resolution, whereas the Xbox One has you know, come in lower. And I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Sony reacts now to not being the most powerful console on the market. I look forward to seeing what they're going to do about that, how they're going to try and remain in competition. But yeah, I mean, really, it's exciting. I don't have an Xbox One myself. I just can't afford to have both a PS4 and an Xbox One. And, you know, to be honest, I really haven't felt the need for one. There hasn't been that game released yet, though. I think like, oh, I need to play that. You know, I just don't feel like I would use an Xbox One enough to justify the price. However, I'm sorely tempted by the Xbox One X, not just because it's going to be powerful, but because there's also loads of great games coming for it. And that's one of the reasons Microsoft excelled this year, because they focused on games. There was 44 games shown that are all going to be available on the Xbox. 22 of them are exclusive in some way to Xbox. Some of them will be timed exclusives, others just totally exclusive. But, you know, that's the thing. It doesn't matter how powerful your console is. If you don't have the games to back it up and give people a reason for spending money on it, no one's going to bother. And Microsoft seems to have recognised that. And there seems to be loads of really cool games coming. Microsoft kicked off by announcing Forza Motorsport 7. I'm not a huge racing gamer myself, however I have played a couple of Forza games in the past, and they are really good, and I can see why they have such high standing in that community. Definitely looked great. You could see the power of the One X, you know, the lighting, the frame rate. It was so smooth. It looked really, really good. I wasn't a huge fan of, you know, you see it sometimes at E3, they brought a real car on that's going to be in the game, and it's kind of like, when you go to E3, when you watch E3, you go there because you want to see the hardware and the games. You don't want to see a sports car you're never going to be able to afford, you know what I mean? But fair enough, it only lasted a few minutes. It was alright, you know, I'm not a car guy, but, you know, it looked good. Then Metro Exodus was announced, a new installment in the Metro series, which I believe first launched on the 360 era. I think it was also on PS3. And I've always kind of felt like the Metro series is akin to the Witcher series, in that I believe there have been 2 Metro games so far, which have both been well received and are very good, but kind of haven't managed to launch the series into the mainstream. A bit like how the first 2 Witcher games couldn't quite launch it into the mainstream. However, The Witcher 3 obviously made the Witcher series huge, and I really feel like this could be the same for the Metro series. The gameplay trailer we saw looked really good, and just, again, you can see the power of the Xbox One X coming through, and, you know, it looks like a continuation of the game. It looks like Artyom, the protagonist from the previous games, is back, and I feel like this could be the one to really be like, the Metro series, this is worth playing, this is worth your time. As I say, it looked really good, the gameplay looked really solid, it looked creepy, atmospheric. Yeah, I think this is definitely one to watch out for. We then got to see a new IP called the Darwin Project, which kind of looks like a Hunger Games style Overwatch type game. It appears to be an online competitive multiplayer game. There appear to be different characters. They had their own unique abilities and stuff. I really kind of, maybe it's unfair to say at this early stage, but it really seemed like, you know, it felt like Overwatch. However, the trailer used to announce it was quite strange. It started off as CG and then went into gameplay, which I thought it was quite good the way it did that. But then the camera kind of cut out, and we saw the stage of E3, and an announcer came on and started like rapid fire commentating on the action that was going on, and it was like, Jesus, calm down. But like, it just seemed like so much. But again, it looks good if you're an Overwatch fan. If you like playing competitive online games, this definitely looks like one to watch out for. The art style was quite distinct. I liked that. Yeah, I think, again, another solid title that's coming soon. Sea of Thieves. We got to see Sea of Thieves again. Now, this game was announced some time ago now, and it is kind of, the development process on it has been quite long, which can be a bit worrying, because there's only so long you can really tease a game and get hype before people are like, okay, where is it? And, you know, it's been a while with Sea of Thieves. However, it's getting an early 2018 release date, so no exact date yet, but, you know, it looks like it's coming towards the end of its development cycle. The gameplay looked really fun. It looks like a great game to play with friends, you know, create your own crew, captain a ship, go up against other ships. I really liked the art style and the humour of it. It doesn't take itself too seriously. It looks fun. It kind of reminded me of the Fable series in terms of the humour. You know, it just doesn't take itself too seriously. Then we got to see Crackdown 3, which I felt was a bit of a weak point in the conference. It kind of felt like it was just spinning its wheels, just reminding people that Crackdown 3 is still a thing. Again, that was announced some time ago, and we haven't seen a great deal of it since. And it was a live-action trailer with Terry Crews, and it, you know, it was funny and stuff, but it didn't really show more about the game. We didn't get a release date. It just kind of felt like it was going, remember, Crackdown is still a thing that will come. But what we do know about Crackdown 3 is it will have very destructible environments, and some people were concerned that the Xbox One wouldn't be able to handle that, really. And I wonder if maybe it's been delayed slightly to coincide with the release, or at least be released after the Xbox One X, which will have the power to make it look as good as it's been built up to be. So yeah, you know, hopefully that comes out and is really good. Definitely one to keep an eye on, as I say. Then we saw Ashen. That was really interesting to me. A new IP called Ashen that had a really distinct, like, dark and eerie art style, very bleak. A kind of strange, like, Tim Burton-esque animation. You know, the graphics, like, were quite simple graphics, but the art style, the art direction was really interesting, I thought, and the animation was very good. It reminded me a lot of Dark Souls, which, again, may be an unfair comparison, but, you know, we don't know how difficult the actual gameplay would be, but it really did give me that Dark Souls vibe. And as a big fan of the Dark Souls series, I'm on board, you know. I really liked it. You know, it started off with characters battling kind of small enemies, then at the end, like, the sort of boss comes out, and the animation, like, on his robes and stuff was so good. And yeah, I really liked that. I'm looking forward to that. Ori and the Will of the Wisps was announced. This looks like another surefire hit for Xbox. I have to admit, I haven't played Ori and the Blind Forest. It's just a game that's passed me by. I've heard really good things about it. It looks gorgeous. People I've discussed the game with have said it's really good. And it looks like Will of the Wisps is going to follow suit. It looked good again. It looks like it's going to have that really atmospheric vibe. Another good story. Yeah, I think if you enjoyed the original game, there's no reason to think that Will of the Wisps won't follow suit, and it definitely looks like a worthy sequel from what we've seen so far. Then we got to see the reveal of Assassin's Creed Origins. Now, there's been so many leaks for this game over the past few months, and every time a leak has come out, Ubisoft have gone like, ignore that, no, that's nothing to do with the new upcoming Assassin's Creed game. But from what we saw, it looks like all the leaks were absolutely right. The game's protagonist, his name, which I forget at the moment, but his name was leaked a few months ago, and it was the same name seen in the trailer. We saw a leaked photo of a t-shirt with the protagonist on, and it is the same protagonist that we clearly saw in the trailer. The setting, ancient Egypt, was leaked. Ubisoft denied that. It is ancient Egypt. And I think it looks really good. I'm a long-time fan of the Assassin's Creed franchise. I really look forward to the first Assassin's Creed game that was released 10 years ago now. Jesus, I'm getting old. And, you know, I've been a fan of the series ever since. I've played every instalment. That's not to say that I'm blind to the fact that it's a series that has its flaws. I can understand why some people don't like it. You know, we've pretty much had a new Assassin's Creed game every year since 2007, and I agree that the formula has become somewhat stale. And when Ubisoft announced last year that they were going to take a break for a year and focus really on building up the next instalment, I thought that was a good thing. And from what we've seen, it really has paid off. We saw a trailer and then a gameplay trailer, and it looked phenomenal. Again, you can't always trust the graphics and stuff you see at E3. It's not the final version, but I mean, that ancient Egypt setting, the sun like just coming down, and the pyramids, the protagonist sliding down a pyramid, it looks like a great setting for Assassin's Creed. It's a period of history we haven't really explored in video games before. I feel like, you know, Egyptian mythology, the Egyptian gods, it's really ripe for incorporating into an Assassin's Creed game. This also looks like a game for new Assassin's Creed fans. As I say, there have been so many Assassin's Creed games that I can totally understand why newcomers to the series would feel pretty intimidated about jumping on. I mean, where do you start? But this one is called Assassin's Creed Origins. It's going to go back to the beginning of the Assassin's Order, and it's not a reboot, but it's going to be a way for new fans to jump on. It's going to be a new story, new protagonist. You won't need a working knowledge of the Assassin's Creed franchise to enjoy this game, and I think that's a really good move. Again, as I say, it looked great. The gameplay was fantastic. It really looks like they focused on the stealth mechanics. There was times where kind of the way he moved and the things he was doing reminded me of Metal Gear Solid 5, which is no bad thing. You now have an eagle that you can set into the air, which is from Far Cry Primal. You could do that with an owl, couldn't you? I'm onto you, Ubisoft, but still, it's a cool feature. And you can have your eagle go into the air and kind of scout the location and target enemies, and, you know, it could give you the lay of the land. And I like that. I like stealth games that let you plan your approach, and when it all comes together, it feels like you've earned it. As good as the game looks, though, let's not forget that Assassin's Creed Unity, the one from 2014 set in Paris during the Revolution, that looked great when we saw it at E3. The trailers for that looked incredible, but when it was released, it was buggy. It didn't work at all on PC. It was a real disappointment, and because of that, you know, I'm a little hesitant to, you know, put all my cards on the table for Origins. However, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, which followed Unity, was a lot more stable. It seemed like Ubisoft really did learn their lesson. So I hope that, you know, they remember the blunder that was Unity, and that Origins will perform better. And given that it's had a longer development cycle, I'd say it probably will. So, yeah, you know, I think that looks really good. I'm really on board. I'd become a bit cynical of the Assassin's Creed franchise lately, but I'm hyped. It looks good. It looks good. What a great setting. The Microsoft E3 conference then closed with gameplay footage of Anthem, the game I discussed, and that was first revealed in EA's conference the day before. We only saw a kind of trailer for that, a CG trailer, but we got to see gameplay this time around, and it looks incredible. I mean, it appears to be this vast open world where, you know, humanity is sheltered inside a kind of walled city, and outside everything is, you know, this lush but incredibly dangerous wilderness. And humanity's surviving, and they use these mech suits to go out. And it seems like there are different classes of mech suits, and it showed the character just flying through this open world. And, I mean, it looked phenomenal. I mean, what a way to show off the power of the Xbox One X. It looked so good. And as I say, this is from BioWare Edmonton, who did the original Mass Effect games, not Andromeda, the original ones, and the original Dragon Age games. And it almost makes you wonder if maybe the reason Mass Effect Andromeda was a bit shit was because the real talent, and I know that sounds so harsh, I don't mean to, you know, talk bad about the people that worked on Andromeda, but maybe, you know, EA's real eye was on Anthem. That was where the money was really going. That's where, you know, the resources lay. And I mean, wow, it looks really good. It looks like what Andromeda should have been. Now, one thing I want to say is it looks so good, it kind of looks too good to be true. I mean, just the open world, it was seamless, flying through. He dove into water at one point, and there was just this fully realised underwater world. Again, the things we see at E3, they are, you know, they are kind of doctored to look as good as possible to get us excited. Will the game necessarily look that good and be that open as it seemed upon the final release? Who knows? I hope it is. It looked incredible, as I say. But, you know, it looked so good that I really wonder, you know, the things we were seeing, I mean, a high-end PC would struggle to do it that seamlessly. You know, maybe the Xbox One X really is that powerful. I hope so, and I hope the game looks as good as it did. But, you know, I would remain a little bit sceptical to avoid disappointment. But no doubt, as the release date draws near, we'll see more of it, and more gameplay, more details will be revealed that will help us make an informed decision when it's time to buy the game. But yeah, what a great conference from Microsoft. As I say, I haven't got an Xbox One, and I kind of hadn't felt the need to get one, having got a PS4. But, I mean, I'm excited with the Xbox One X. I'm on board. It looks powerful. There looks like there's going to be so many great games for it. As I say, we got to see 44 games in total, 22 exclusives. I mean, you know, this isn't going to be a really expensive paperweight. It looks like there are loads of great games coming for you to play on this new hardware. And, you know, great job, Microsoft. And it's Sony's conference tonight, and I'm really looking forward to see what they're going to bring to the table. I mean, I think they've got a lot of good things in the works, like God of War, but, you know, they're going to have to do well tonight to be even as good as Microsoft, if not better. They're going to have to work for it, you know, and I think that's great, because when there's competition between companies, that's good for the consumer when they're fighting to get our money, you know, and yeah, well done Microsoft. It's a good time to be an Xbox gamer. I think they deserve it. You know, the Xbox hasn't had the best couple of years recently. It's definitely done better recently with backwards compatibility, but you know, some of the exclusives and stuff haven't quite lived up to the hype. And you know, I really hope the Xbox One X delivers. It looks like it might well. So yeah, stay tuned. My next video will be about Bethesda's conference, which, as I said, was not as good as Microsoft's. If you're an Xbox gamer, if you're any gamer at all, you watch the conference, then let me know in the comments what you thought about it. If you're already on Xbox One gaming, are you excited? Are you going to get the Xbox One X if you've already got an Xbox One or an Xbox One S? If you're a PlayStation gamer, what do you think? Did that appeal to you? Has that made you kind of look at Xbox gamers and think, you know, I wish that was coming our way? PC gamers, again, you're the master race, you know, it doesn't matter how powerful the console is, won't be as powerful as PC, but still, you know, no doubt many of those games will come to PC through Microsoft, so that'll be good for you. Yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. I thought it was a great conference, definitely better than some years Microsoft has had. See you next time.